Hey everybody, welcome back to Amazon Suspension Trends. Chris McCabe here of e-commerce. Chris went on a slight hiatus with these, but I'm back with them because there's just a lot going on this time of year, of course, but a lot of things week to week that sellers need to know about how appeal processes are changing. In this particular video, this particular case, I want to talk about approach to doing appeals, and primarily speaking of appeals you do yourself. So of course we work with brands and resellers. Some suspension types differ between reselling and being private label, but a lot of the trends in mistakes and errors are the same for both that I've been seeing. Primarily I've been seeing, and I know we talk a lot on LinkedIn and other channels about AI and how it's developing and how wonderful it is and how great it'll be in the future. But the trend I want to talk about is taking AI, using it almost 100% to do your appeal based on what, ChatGPT and other tools are for. You scrape the internet for what other people are saying about how to do an appeal. Lots of info on the internet. Some of it's good, some of it's bad, right? I can't tell you how many sellers we talk to who say they based entire appeals on someone's YouTube video or advice they got from a seller who said, this is how I got unstuck for my suspension. Sometimes it's not even an analogous case, and they're comparing apples to oranges from the get-go, and we're not sure why they did it. But this is becoming more common, and that's why we're more alarmed by it. I understand that today's ChatGPT temptation means maybe you write something and you rewrite it if you're not confident in your writing, or you're not confident in your analytical skills or your approach. You want it rewritten with the help of a tool, which may or may not be useful, to clean up some parts of your appeal, to make it easier to read, easier to review, easier to understand. Yes, of course, that makes sense to us. People do that in their emails to us all the time when they're describing their suspension, describing what they need, asking us questions. I mean, of course, emails are written to us using AI tools or ChatGPT, just like they are with emails to Amazon. I want to caution you very strongly against using the same kind of tools you use to communicate with a consultant like me with your communications directly with Amazon. I've been meeting off and on all year, of course, but especially recently with people at Amazon, whether at events or otherwise, in private conversations about why they're rejecting so many appeals, why so many denials are happening. And of course, at least as of this sitting, they don't really tell you most of the time why an appeal has been rejected. They just give you some ideas why it might be rejected. So until their communication back on why appeals are denied, until that communication improves, definitely listen to the sound of my voice on this topic, because not only are we doing it 24/7 in our work for clients, we're having conversations with Amazonians who are telling us there's way too much generic copy and paste going on here. We don't take the time to read those appeals. We can tell, I'm not sure which tools, either in-house or otherwise, they're using to tell who's done ChatGPT or AI written appeals. They understand the temptation just like I do, just like you do, but they're in a position of power to decide if they want to read it, let alone accept it. So it's not just, okay, they were willing to read it, it needs some tweaks, just run it back through your ChatGPT tool and maybe iron out those wrinkles. No, they're telling us that people are way off. Those appeals have no value or low value, and you're giving them a reason not to read them. So not only does it get you closer to the target, and I know some people have done this maybe 10, 20, 30 times, and they're getting maybe different answers back from Amazon, and they call account health and discuss the different answers. Some people have said, maybe 3 or 4 people I talked to recently told me, well, we think we got a little bit closer based on tweaking the language and tweaking how we're doing this. But they didn't really do more than maybe basic edits to an appeal that was already rejected. Again, strongly caution you away from doing that, because if they just see minor adjustments or modifications, they think you really didn't take it back with the intention of revising it. You took it back just to make it look like you revised it. Cosmetic approach. I suppose if you're doing paid account management, or you're buddies with some VPs at Amazon who told you, you know what, this is mostly there. You just need to make a few minor adjustments or cosmetic changes and it'll be there. And then they're submitting it on your behalf, or you're getting your account manager to create an internal escalation, or you're resubmitting it yourself with a high degree of confidence, I suppose go ahead and do that. I don't begrudge anyone trying to do that without having us read it and sign off on it first. But for everyone else in this conversation, we all spent the last 2-3 years seeing how sellers do on appeals when they were using template mills, which were masquerading as consulting services, but were essentially template mills, right? Fill in the blanks, copy and paste generic content. Well, those weren't successful any higher percentage of the time than the current ChatGPT AI written appeals are. To me, they're identical almost in terms of single digit percentages of success. Do we occasionally hear from people who say they did it that way and it pans out? Even now, people probably use some of these cookie cutter appeals that they source online, whether it's free or they pay for it. I suppose there are a few stragglers that we do hear from one month to the next. Most of the time, if you want any realistic chance of success, you're not pinning your hopes on these things, right? If it's a Hail Mary, if you have absolutely no time, if you have no support under you, nobody who has any experience with appeals, yes, I can kind of understand why you would just try flinging something out to see what comes back. But again, set your expectations accordingly, because this is straight from the horse's mouth. We suspected it on our side already, because when we're reading email from customers or clients who contact us, often their AI written answers to our questions aren't accurate or aren't helpful. I suspect the same thing's happening with Amazonians, especially senior management or anyone in the executive ranks. I mean, those are not the people to send anything like this to. We always like to say, know your audience. You're talking about people with heavy duty responsibilities on the enforcement side or for other things at Amazon. And they don't have time to read your tea leaves and to try to figure out what you're trying to say or what you're avoiding saying or anything that might not be helpful to you. You want to put your best foot forward with people like that. I got that at Amazon conferences when I've spoken to these people directly or one-on-one. We suspected it even before we had those conversations with them. And it doesn't really matter whether or not you're going in person to see these people at the Prosper Show or Amazon Accelerate or any of the other events, even events that I put together with my team. The long story short is be very, very careful with how you do this stuff. Don't just dash it off. Don't borrow somebody else's rewritten, using some tool and say, well, that person was successful with this, so I'm just going to kind of copy what they did and make some minor adjustments. That rarely works. If it's working for you, that's great. Please, when you talk to other sellers who are desperate to get reinstated, don't assume that they can just copy what you did, copy your homework. You did your homework and they copy it and they just make some minor changes to it using whatever AI tools, using a VA they hired, whatever it might be. I caution you from doing that because quite honestly, Amazon can see that from a mile away. And with the amount of people who are still suspended now that are appealing every day and the hundreds of thousands of these emails they get every day, you don't want to be the one who stands out and the one who's easy to skip over, because obviously that lengthens the time you're suspended, costs you money, and it probably hurts your odds of resolving it overall anyway. So why would you want to do that to yourself? Questions on this, of course, we talk about this all the time at e-commerce Chris. You can follow up with me or members of my team. If you're ever in doubt, definitely reach out. Thanks for listening.